Very good. So I have a loop for those who are here. As you can tell, there's just a loop playing on screen, just with some of the highlights from today and some of the key content that we usually work through and share. I thought instead of me talking to it to death, we'll just let it loop through, and you guys can read it as it comes up on screen. And then when it's time to stop, we'll just stop it. So save some time. But I will encourage everybody per one of the slides. Feel free to interact with each other. I don't know if folks know each other, or if not, feel free to introduce yourself in the chat, or call out discussion topics. We historically, and by historically I mean for the last meeting, because we're starting this moving forward, we come equipped with some discussion topics, but I couldn't figure out a good way to get them up on screen. So I'm going to throw one in the chat and hope that people can pick it up there. But I'm going to put it in the chat with a caveat that I would personally, I'll make the plea to you, don't just respond in chat. Actually come off mute if you're so brave, and talk about it and see what you think. We'd love to hear everybody engage per the slide like this one right here. This is really all about connection, right? And getting to know each other, and especially as we start to ramp up with some of the more in-person stuff. Whoops, that's not the one I wanted. As we start to ramp up with more in-person events, we are going to start to come together, and our hope is when we come together, we've got some connection already made, right? That would be ideal. Leverage the virtual, get to know each other a little bit, and then when we do come together for these meetings, you'll get to put a physical face to the name as opposed to a face on the screen, and hopefully be off to the races and develop a connection that way. So in terms of discussion, I'm going to put it in the chat, and again, please feel free. Your favorite.
I see a lot of familiar names, so which is good.
Yeah. All right. And I'm going to put you on the spot. The chat I just threw out there is, what's your favorite Dynamics 365 feature and why? It would have been really good if I could have put spaces between words and spelled things properly, but that's besides the point. So I'm going to put you on the spot, Diane, just to get dialogue going. What's your favorite feature?
Well, to be honest, at this point, we're just really excited about all the new stuff. We're quite a few years behind in updating and using all of the new features that are available. And so today I'm really excited for, because I really want to understand how that can help the salespeople in our organization. So I think in the moment, today's topics are what interests me the most.
Fair enough. Fair enough. How about others on the call? Anybody can come off mute and chime in. Don't do it all at once, though.
Hey, it's Richard. So anything AI or customer insights orientated?
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I'd also like to make a recommendation for you. If you are way behind, there's an opportunity to look at re-implementing CRM. And the reason is that many of the feature functionality that was out there when you implemented, that you may have built custom stuff for, those kind of things, it's now out of the box, right? So we see a lot of people who basically get rid of all the legacy baggage and start fresh by importing their accounts and contacts into a brand new Dynamics instance and get a ton of value. So it doesn't.
That is on our roadmap this year.
Okay. If it doesn't, if you follow my blog, look at some of those things, more than happy to help you out. But that is a great way to really jump forward into the new stuff and leave the sins, as I call them, the sins of the past behind.
All the stuff.
That would be a great conversation in and of itself. Like some of the caveats and pitfalls people have. What observation we had, we walked through, one customer wanted to just lift and shift and then reimagine and do it.
Right.
And we kind of tried to advise around that, and they were pretty dead set. And you're bringing all that baggage with you, and it makes it really hard to transition. So I wholeheartedly agree, Chris. Just start fresh. It's scary to do, but if you build the right plan around it, it can.
If you guys have interest, we could do a whole session on it. I actually teach that session at Summit and some of the other areas where we talk about the pitfalls of upgrading. Everything, that's just a little bit of it, but also people who are still on-prem. They're still using on-prem technologies and fighting with their CISO about trying to get to the cloud. Meanwhile, they use Office 365 and they're already there. They don't realize it, right? So lots of advantages that you can talk about. Happy to help any way you guys need.
Excellent.
Good call out. Leonard, I see your hand is up and I see a chat, but Leonard.
Yeah, I was hoping to touch base with people possibly that have come across the same thing. We're sitting with our organization that doesn't want to get rid of any data. So storage is a big problem for us at the moment, and biggest being emails in the CRM. So we're trying to purge a heck of a lot, but we need, if anyone has used any tools of that for archiving these, making it easy for the salespeople to still access them. If anyone's had any experience with that, I'd be eager to hear.
Yeah, Leonard, you want to look at MS CRM add-ons. They have a tool called the Document Extractor. It's $1,500 for the license. It's a one-time license, and what it does is it goes through emails and it grabs all the files that are in those emails, the attachments. Like, let's say you email 10,000 people the same PDF about an event, right? It takes those PDFs. It takes one copy of the PDF and puts it out in SharePoint, which is only 49 cents per month per gig, versus CRM space, which is between $20 and $40 a gig, and it leaves a hyperlink right back where it was. So the person who's looking at the email, if they ever want to see that attachment, they can still get to it. And it does this automatically in the background. So once you run it through the first series of things, you'll lose a ton of disk space and clean up automatically moving forward.
Okay, good stuff. Sorry, the name of the tool again was?
Sure. MS CRM add-ons, and the tool is called the Document Extractor.
Okay.
I can put a link in the window if you give me a minute.
Yeah,
in the
chat.
Thank you.
There, Michael just did. That's awesome. Oh, that's actually a different one, but yeah, same concept, which is awesome. I paused it. I wanted to call this out quickly. I paused it on screen. So these meetings are set to automatically record. And so just understand that everything is that we're talking through is recorded. All of these presentations, once the whole session's complete, we upload the content up to, including the discussion that we're having now, just because that's being part of the user group. We upload this to the group at DUG, and Liz is going to talk a little bit about that in a few minutes. Just so you're aware, if anything comes up that you wish not be shared or should be cut out, it's really important that you let me know before the meeting. If I don't hear that before the meeting, I grab that recording and we push it over without editing, and just as is, so just so everybody's aware. There was a comment in the chat that somebody, Ryan Monks, Ryan, good to see your name on here. Ability to make custom tables and entities, which I think a lot of people would agree with, right? It's an awesome, that's one of the best parts, is you take that out of the box and you take the Microsoft Toolbox and you just run with it and do all the things you need to do, which is awesome. In here, I thought too. Ryan, you put your hand up.
Nope, never mind.
Fair enough. And then Debbie posted that she likes the Power BI reports that run all over the views, that run on all of the views, not all over the views in CRM, which is cool. That's such a cool feature, that visualize in CRM, or visualize the data button, and it gives you all those Power BI things you can manipulate. It's awesome. Andrew,
that's really cool.
Yeah, and I think the most important is the direction where platform is going into, and that it's actually part of Power Platform, so which helps to be confident in a very deep integration with other products. I think that's the most important feature. That and now when I can see that actually Power Apps providing access to Dynamics 365 solutions, I know that the many years of experience with CRM can be converted in future to managing even Power Apps through the same approach, through the same concept. That's what I'm happy to see, that the past knowledge is now transformed to the new version of this of this knowledge and how we interact with it, with this product. I think it's good.
Agreed. Awesome. Any others? Yeah, somebody's got their hand up. Oh, that was still Andrew. Never mind.
If you go back to the history of how Power Platform came to be a product, it originated in Dynamics. And then, so if you talk to anybody who's doing Dynamics and you tell them Power Platform, they've been doing it for a number of years because it's the same thing. It's just that we productized it and made it different. And so you see all the buzz around the world who were non-Dynamics folks talking about this as being a great platform. Yep. I always get that smile on my face. Wow. Who thought?
That's one of my favorite conversations, actually. When you look at, I'm going to just paste a graphic in the window for you, and this really will hit home for you, okay? So take a look at this graphic, everyone. If you look at all the functionality that you see in there, that is what was pulled out of CRM to become Dataverse. And then the first party application of sales, customer service, those things have basically become model apps on top of the same platform that me and you were able to build on top of. And that was the birth of Power Platform.
So these SharePoint MVPs that are making claim to it, we can kind of show them this diagram, right?
They're gonna. I heard they're having a Royal Rumble at next summit. We're gonna battle it out.
That's right. If we could, hello everybody. So maybe we can just introduce some of the people that help organize this. So I'm Rick McCutcheon. I'm one of the MVPs here in Toronto, and we've been organizing these events for about 10 years, along with Microsoft Canada. The chair this year is Malcolm McCauley, right? Malcolm, you just wave to people, let them see. And Diane Taylor is also vice chair of the group. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you, our guests, Ronnie and Chris, and I think JC's coming along. So we're going to have a great show today, and I really appreciate you taking your time. Can everybody who's never been, that's correct grammar, but if you haven't been to one of our meetings in the past, whether at Microsoft Canada or online, please raise your hands. Just want to see how many net new people we have. Okay, 3, 5, 6, 7. Excellent. Thank you very much. So please spread the word and make sure that 9 people, make sure that you join one of our communities on either DUG or the Dynamics Communities platform. And I'm sure we'll be talking, Liz will be talking about DUG in a few minutes, which is the user group community that we've become associated with. So again, we want to thank everybody for their time.
Agreed. And actually, what we'll use that as a segue. Liz, I'm going to hand it over to you. So I'm going to stop sharing.
Okay.
And if you want to throw your stuff up and take over.
I would love to, Malcolm. Thank you. You can see my screen?
We sure can.
Beautiful. Well, I will be very quick because I know everybody wants to learn more about Viva Sales because it's the hot new thing. So I will be fast. First of all, my name is Liz Hallen. I am the VP here at Dynamics User Group, otherwise known as DUG. I loved, thank you, Rick, for asking the question, who is new here? It's good to know what kind of an audience we have. So for those of you that are not familiar with DUG, we are Dynamics User Group. I guess you could call us the new kids on the block. We're kind of the fun new group. Our membership is free and it's an individual membership. We would love for all of you to sign up. We've actually been around for quite some time, started out as an online discussion forum. And over the last about 2.5 years, we've had full-time staff on board that have helped us to grow to a whopping 37,000 community members. Many of you are part of that group, and we would love to have even more and more folks. So I did also want to say a huge thanks to Rick and Malcolm and Diane for your contributions, and this community would not exist without wonderful volunteers like you and bringing people like this together. So we have a lot of different options with DUG. This meetup group virtually that we're having here today is just one of the ways that we're engaging with the community. So that is our meetup program. But we do have 6 other programs that are available to you. Many of the options of which are free. We're probably most famously known for what started out as our first virtual conference called DynamicsCon. For those of you that have heard of DynamicsCon, that is us. My background here shows you the next 2 DynamicsCons that are coming up. The next one is DynamicsCon Virtual that is happening on March 15th and 16th. This is a free event to attend. All of the content, the thing that's unique here is all of the content for the DynamicsCon virtual event is submitted by and voted on by the community. And the top voted sessions are the ones that you'll see on the final agenda on March 15th. And for those of you that are on our email list, you literally just got an email in your inbox since we have been on this call. We are very, very happy to announce and pleased to you are the first to know that I've been able to tell externally. We just partnered with Microsoft to do a Microsoft Customer Success Day, which will happen the second day of DynamicsCon Virtual on March 16th. We're going to have some great content there. I know, I love it too, Malcolm. We're going to have great content there in conjunction with Microsoft. We'll have Microsoft speakers, MVPs, tons of community experts. And again, this event is free, so please sign up at dynamicscon.com. We do have a live event coming up as well that I'll talk about. But in addition to our conferences, we have online discussion forums where you can get questions asked and answered throughout the whole year. When we do have great moderators, many of whom are MVPs in our space, helping to answer those questions for you. Our Team Up program is one of the ways that our revenue generation happens. These are some partners and ISVs in our space that provide us with some marketing funding, give them some exposure to the community, but it's also a great way for you guys to find new solutions. Chris was talking about MSCRM add-ons earlier. They're one of our sponsors at our events, and grateful for everybody's participation there. We've got our meetups. Our YouTube channel has just about 500 content pieces on that YouTube channel, many of which were education topics that occurred at one of the prior DynamicsCon virtual events. And so really great content out there for everybody to learn more and really hone in on your skills for the products. And then we do have some certification courses as well. This is the other option that we have that does have a small fee. Each of the classes is a little bit different, ranging anywhere from $25 to, I think it's $349. And those are US dollars. Sorry, they're not in Canadian dollars. But yeah, would love to have, if you haven't joined us, please sign up at dynamicsusergroup.com. I had mentioned the virtual event with that announcement with Microsoft coming. If you are somebody that's either an expert in our space or would like to become an expert, grow your career, get some visibility to the community, our session submissions are open till tomorrow. So tomorrow is the deadline, and then we start voting next week. So I'm looking forward to all of your guys' votes next week. We'll have voting for 2 weeks, and then we'll announce the final agenda. Our live event, we're going to hot, sunny Arizona in May, heading to Scottsdale, May 22nd through the 25th. And for all of you that are on the call, first of all, thank you for joining today, being part of this meetup. We do have a $50 discount for anybody that would like to attend the live event here on my screen, and I'm happy to pop that in the chat for anybody that's interested. So, Malcolm, thank you for letting me have a few minutes of stage time to talk a little bit about DUG and who we are and what we do. If anyone has any questions, I'll pop my email in the chat, and would be happy to answer any questions anybody has.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Liz, for the overview, and always good to see what's coming up, and so great to see, I said it last time, so great to see in-person stuff coming back.
I know.
I've gone to a couple there in the last little while, and these are great sessions. I love being in my own home. I love eating my own food, but there's nothing quite like passing people in the halls and high fives and shaking hands. So
absolutely.
All right. thank you again, Liz. Rick, I'm going to hand it over to you so that you can hand it over to Ronnie.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, Liz. So we've got a longtime supporter from Microsoft, Rony Oommen, coming on today, and he's going to talk about Viva Sales, because there's lots of people that want to better understand what Microsoft is talking about when they broadcast this product. And right after that, we're going to have Chris and JC come on from CongruentX to show you how they've been working with the product. They're the partner and some of the things they're building. So over to you, Ronnie.
Thank you, Rick. And let me just see if we can share my screen. You all see my screen? Blank screen, actually, but
We got you.
all right.
It's like sand dunes and a lake.
Yep.
Like a great
Okay.
spot.
Let's do it. Just going. Okay. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Morning. My name is Rony Oommen, and I'm a cloud solution architect in Microsoft Canada. Now, cloud solution architect is a very loose role in Microsoft, so we do a lot of things, but my area of focus is primarily Dynamics and Power Platform. And I work a lot with partners, more than so customers. I work with the customers that partners work with. So I don't directly work with customers, but my focus area is with partners. Been in the role for about a little over 6 years, but I've been doing CRM for over 25. So today we're going to talk about one of the new things that's come out, that's Viva Sales. It came out last year. We're working on enhancing it. So we'll talk about what's been released, and we'll also talk about what's going to happen next. Another exciting thing that we're doing with Dynamics this year is the creation of the D365 voice, or contact center as a service, where we are actually getting Dynamics to go into that space. This is probably new. At some point later in the year, we will talk about that. I'd love to be able to present and showcase that as one of the newer capabilities. But today, let's focus on Viva Sales. And the way it is, I'll take a pause after every section for any questions, and I also have time for Q&A sessions, Q&A in the end of and we can have as deep a discussion as you want, or doesn't matter. All right, so let's see where we are at. So what are we going to see today? Well, we'll talk today's agenda. We'll have the overview of the why and the what. How do we get started with Viva Sales? Let's consider some features and scenarios. How is it priced and how is it licensed? What are some of the sales conversations we need to have when we think about Viva Sales? And then we'll do a demo in the end. So, and the Q&A followed by that. Can you all hear me clearly? I just wanted to check with everybody.
Got you.
All right.
Sounds great.
Very good.
All right. I'm currently, one of the things that I told you, I work with a lot with partners. And what's interesting about that is different partners have different stories to talk about the same customer, different perspectives. So there might be 3 partners going in after the same customer, but each of them have a completely different story. That makes my job pretty exciting, I can tell you that. Right, last month I was working with a large gambling horse racing company out here in Toronto. I don't want to say the name, but you guys can figure that out, right? And there is a person there who's called the Chief Productivity Officer. We were having a conversation there and said, this is what he said. He said, I want to promote a new culture. And then I was like, okay, what's it called? Well, I'd like to call it Stay Within the App Culture. So, and then that got me thinking, when you think back, all of our applications that we've built, not just us as vendors, is how can we show more information on a single pane of glass? So I know we talked about, someone mentioned customer insights, customer 360. Over the years, how Dynamics is involved is how do we show more information on a single form? So what does that 360-degree view look like? And I think that's what they were referring to. Can we, without actually too much navigation, see the most useful information or get the most useful things done from within a single screen? And that's what this person was talking about, stay within the app culture. And the reason he mentioned was, so people take 9.5 minutes to get back into a productive workflow after switching between apps. So historically, we built so many great apps. They're all siloed. They all work great, but to get back into productivity, the average research says it's about 9.5 minutes. Okay, 45% of the people say that context switching makes them less productive. I'm sure we can, rely on that. And 43% say that switching between these actually causes fatigue. And I'm sure, when we have limited time, we want to get more done, right? So COVID, everything is sitting from home. There's still that level of fatigue that comes up. But imagine if you were on a flight or you're on an airport, you want to get things done much quicker. That is what we want to avoid. But here's a statistic that really scares people, or scares me at least. We've got so many apps. On an average, a person spends 59 minutes per day looking for information amongst the apps that you are supposed to use. That's scary. Okay. And all of this is from this Cornell University research that's come in. So if we were to take that, let's go keeping this as our framework on improving productivity. Let's talk about Viva Sales. We all know what selling is. And the way we look at sellers, there are primarily 4 different types of sellers, as we call it. It depends on the personality and what they like to do, right? So what's this? The top of the funnel, the hunters. Go in, the core job is to find new leads, find new opportunities, get them to, qualify them, then get them assigned to necessarily people or disqualify them as soon as possible. What are some of the titles? Inside and outside sales. These are these phone bangers, as we call them. They just keep, banging the phone, getting those leads, having those conversations. One might argue that's not the way we sell, but that role still exists, right? In many organizations, those still exist. Then there are the closers, right? So we've hunted them down. Now we've got to close that opportunity, do whatever it takes to go and close that deal. That's a different set of skills. They have a different set of requirements from an application perspective to go in and do that. Outside sales reps, inside sales reps, but they also need a support structure. And that's where the sales support structure comes in, like something like pre-sales might be one of them. Specialists in a particular product, could be different kinds of sales cycles. There's always a support structure that needs to be there for these closers because that is an integral part of their closing cycle. And then once you've closed the deal and you've won them as a customer, how do we cross-sell and upsell them? So those are the account managers, or what we call as the farming part of the business, whereas how can we get more business from our existing customers? We put them all under a single umbrella called sellers. Now, mind you, we've just identified 4, there might be more. Think about how each of these 4 are going to use a CRM system. And I don't need to say that they need to be different. They are very, very different. The kind of activities they put in, the kind of engagements they have, lots of, so think about it. It's the same product, but used by sellers of 4 different profiles in 4 different ways. All right. So if that's the case, what's going on in the world right now with sellers? Well, every company wants to expand their business and grow sales. To get there, they need to be productive and efficient salespeople, right? So we've asked people around, right? Some of the things that sellers expect from technology today is automatic data entry into systems. Now, the word systems is critical here. Historically, we have built different systems because we looked at how can we get that instant gratification, solve a business problem and add value to an organization with an app. That's what technology was, right? Many years ago, we've done that. We wanted to solve that immediate problem. What was the result of that? We built so many apps. Sometimes sellers are forced to use an app. And I can tell you, I've worked with so many partners, we've sold Dynamics into many, many customers. A lot of the sellers are saying, we're forced to use CRM. I don't want to use it. So it's corporate policy that brings in and says, this is what you need to do. I can't do accurate reporting. I cannot do my accurate forecasting because you're not putting anything into CRM, right? And then is the CRM the most intelligent way of doing things? Well, now that's a good question. Now, we talked about the flexibility and this great platform that we've built. Not everybody builds CRM the same way, even though it can be built in different ways. What is that optimum way, right? If you think about, and I work with a lot of partners, they say we do a very good requirement analysis session or business analysis. We'll say, this is what it needs to be. Sometimes it's the customer who says, this is what we want. I'd love it when a customer knows what they wanted, right? So it's a mix. We never know. What does that experience really look like? Okay, and then we talk to sellers and say, what are you really busy with nowadays? Are you really selling? Oh, no, we're inputting into CRM, we're managing emails, logging activities, finding out who's the right person to contact. And we spent $22 billion and bought LinkedIn so that we know who to contact. Who is that person that we need to go and find out? And once we do that, how do we stay on track? Creating follow-up tasks. What that results in is, seller time spent outside of a CRM app, where they should be doing all this, is 70%. And 95% is not being captured in CRM. So all of the great work that has been done, 95% of that does not exist in CRM, or rather, the organization doesn't know that this has happened. Good luck with our reporting. If we are going to go and do some accurate forecasting, I know, there was a comment about Power BI being one of the best reporting tools. What if the data is not there? What if the data is inaccurate? It's pathetic, I can tell you that. We'll spend hours, and we all know sales meetings can last for hours and hours. But what if we don't have the data to do it? So that means we have two problems. There is the system of productivity, and then there's the data. And if these actually reside in two different silos, I think our mission as a technology vendor or a product vendor is to unify all of this, right? Because today, sellers spend only 32% of their time selling. We want them to spend 80% of their time selling, and the remaining 20 actually using our tools. So our mission was to have these disconnected tools, unify them. And what are some of the tools? We are not going to reinvent or recreate new tools. What are the tools? Office 365. They use Teams a lot. They use, they make phone calls. Everything's from these productivity tools that we've already built. But our system of record is CRM. So we are bringing this together. And that is the birth of this idea called as Viva Sales. So what do we try to do here? So we can see here, we are going to unify the customer context, right? So the customer context will be made available in Teams, Outlook, and in CRM, right? It's the same record. We will get them to be able to create contacts, track activity, view deals, which they are doing in CRM today, to be able to be done in our productivity tools. That means I can create a contact in CRM, as well as create a contact in Outlook, and have that information available in both places. That's what we're trying to do, right? We're going to include, it's going to be included as part of a MS3 or Office 365. That means I can get a CRM app embedded within Outlook so that I can continue. I don't need to switch apps anymore, right? And all these past 5 years, we've been investing a lot in our artificial intelligence. Can we use some of the AI and machine learning models that we have today to actually make life better for ourselves? So that's the AI insights in the flow of work. And then automatic tracking. Now, automatic tracking has been there for, 10 years. Like, you could track things from Outlook, but we have kind of enhanced it a bit more. So I'm going to show you that today. So automatic tracking of every email, every Teams call, every activity that comes in with the customer needs to be automatically tracked in CRM. This is altogether Viva Sales. I'll pause. Thoughts, feedback, questions?
I do want to add that you guys should understand that Microsoft Viva is a giant suite of products across the whole ecosystem. We are specifically talking about Microsoft Viva for sales. So you may have gotten an email in the morning at the beginning of the week of how many activities you need to do, or did you follow up on these things? That's the office side of Viva integrating as well. But when we're talking specifically for this presentation, we're talking about the integration with the sales tag.
Yes,
Rony,
Debbie, there's a question.
There's a question in the
Debbie.
chat. Yeah, did you see that?
Yes. So Debbie
Okay.
asks, do we no longer need the app for Outlook? The answer is yes. You don't need it anymore. We're just going to have Viva Sales as part of the solution. Shall I move on? Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
Let's get started. So what is Viva Sales? So what we need is, you can use Viva Sales without Teams, but and when I do the demo, I'll show you how it really works with Teams. But some of the features might not be available. You must have Outlook. Both desktop and web are supported. Only Exchange Online is supported. That means on-prem is no longer going to be, we can't configure Viva Sales with Exchange on-prem, but online is absolutely mandatory. What CRM do you need? And this is one of the visions that Satya had, was, okay, we believe whatever product we build today and going forward needs to be more adhesive to the rest of the market. So today we have Viva Sales that can work not just with Dynamics, but also with Salesforce. So, and there's a reason for that. A lot of the Salesforce customer today, they use Outlook as their productivity tool. So, that, and thinking about enhancing that user experience and making their sellers productive, that's a giant step into what we're doing today. So Viva Sales is available for Salesforce as well. And we'll see that today as well in our demo. Now, if any of you are thinking about setting up a demo environment for Salesforce, just go into this developer.salesforce.com, register with a personal email ID. You'll get a subscription for 1 year, production environment. And you know how to set up a D365 trial. So go in there and set up a D365 trial, and then just add the Viva Sales trial into, you can configure it to both Salesforce as well as into Dynamics. Any questions? All right, moving on. So let's look at some scenarios now. All right. So I've got 3 scenarios which I want to show you today. Now, this is not the demo. The demo is going to be but these scenarios are important, but I'm going to show it to you through videos, silent videos, no sound. But I'd like you to look at it, kind of understand what's really going on. So the first scenario we're going to talk about is how to view and sync customer engagement data with Outlook. So here's the scenario. So we have Daisy Phillip, who's a seller at Fabricam. So new contact, Alberto engages with Daisy on Outlook. And Daisy wants to connect to CRM from Outlook and add Alberto as a contact, right? Alberto is then added as a contact, and then she wants to view what the account and opportunity information are from within Outlook. And then she responds back to Alberto through an email, and she wants to make sure the email has been saved in Outlook. Typical thing that a seller does, we always do that. So let's look at what's going on here. So I'm going to play this. So I'll pause here. So this is an email that's just come in. So here's Daisy. Then this is hi Daisy. This is from Alberto, and this is the email that she's got. She opens up that email in Outlook. Goes into, there'll be a link for Viva Sales in Outlook. And now we look here. What she does is, the first time that you log in into Viva Sales, we sign in to get started. And at this point, it actually asks you whether you want to log in into Salesforce or Dynamics. So here, this is with Salesforce. So she picks up, signs into production environment from Salesforce. And now let me pause here. So all of a sudden, what has happened? Once you've connected into the Salesforce environment, it's already identifying existing contacts that are part of this email in CRM, or in this case, in Salesforce. Now it says, oh, Alberto is a contact that I can't find in CRM. So do you want to add this into Salesforce? Now, Remember, we're still in Outlook. So now they can create a new contact. Now here's the best part. Just note this, Alberto puts the telephone number, the account name, and address in the email, okay? So what's gonna happen is when you click on Add to Salesforce, this is where our AI comes into picture, where it picks up the name, it picks up the email, it picks up the company name and the phone number and adds it into. So rather than copy pasting it from the email, the AI is able to understand a signature format within an email, picks out the relevant details, and pre-populates the form within Viva Sales to save it into Outlook, into CRM, sorry. So the contact's been created. Now, once the contact's been created, it identifies there's an account. Now it sees all relevant CRM data. For example, Alberto, Daisy Philip belongs to this particular account. Phone number, prospect, what's the revenue, all relevant CRM information is available from within Viva Sales. Still hasn't gone. Now it also sees other records like opportunities. And if there are multiple opportunities, all of the opportunities will be listed here in Viva Sales. Note, we haven't left Outlook yet. All right. So all of that information is there. Now the email that's coming can be saved as an activity into Salesforce from within Outlook again. And now it says which record do you want to, you can do a search and search out that particular record you want to add that activity to and say saved into Salesforce. Now, mind you, we have not left Outlook yet. So we got an email, we added a contact, we looked at a relevant lead, we looked at an opportunity, we saved an activity all from within Outlook. Let's look at scenario number 2. Daisy now copies the account information from Outlook. Now today, this concept of swarming, where we go in together as a cohort, you have a sales manager, you have a technical specialist. Remember the support sales structure we were talking, there was a pre-sales person in there. You want to go have some discussions about this particular opportunity, and we want to be able to share that from within Teams, right? Because we use Teams for internal communication, right? So let's talk about what that looks like. So when you open up a record, say Alpine Ski House as an account, there's a link here that says, when you click on it, it copies a particular shortcut. So rather than copying each and every line item, if you just click on that shortcut, and what you do is you go into Teams. Yes. So this person is talking to Hillary on a particular engagement. And you talk to Hillary, it says, okay, let's talk about this opportunity. Wouldn't it be great if we had all that information readily available when we start that conversation? So when you copy paste that particular link within a Teams message, it pops up the entire record in a card format. So this is nothing but a CRM record that is pasted within an Office application, and in this case, it's Teams, that showcases all the information that you need to discuss with Hillary on. You'll see that in the demo as well. And you don't need to open a CRM to see that information. You can see it in the card format. However, if you wish to open it within the actual CRM, you can do it by clicking on a button. So we can open the CRM application directly from Teams. Right? Now this conversation becomes more fruitful because all the relevant information that needs to be showcased is already there. But let's say you want to do a search on a CRM record. You can do a search on other CRM records from within Teams. Again, this is a capability that Viva Sales provides, that from a conversation, we can search for CRM records. Now, the question that I always get is that, can you search for any information? The answer is no. You can only search information that has been defined in your application level security. So if CRM security model allows you to search for information, you can search for it. You have access to it. You can edit it if you have the actual permissions defined within CRM. All right, so let's move on here. So we saw that. We saw the Teams part. Let me see if there's anything else. That's it. All right. So that's number 2. Number 3, we'll see. But before that, let me see if there are any questions.
I'm actually helping you answer them as you go. So.
Oh, perfect. Okay, that's perfect.
Good.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Yeah. So scenario 3 is insights. So this is something that's coming. I mean, it's almost there. So we'll be, so. Here it is about, so we saw one of the AI capabilities that's out of the box is to identify the signature within the email. There's a couple of things more and this is something that's not just for Viva Sales. We've had conversational intelligence built into Teams. We have that with the new D365 voice capabilities that are happening. So that also has conversational intelligence. So let's see how is it relevant here today. So here's the Teams meeting that's been sent, right? And then you can look at all the information. Oh, I missed saying one piece. I'm sorry about that. I think this was a very important thing that I forgot to mention. Sorry about that. This is okay. There's one thing that I missed to say. Remember, I told you that all the information from CRM is visible in Viva Sales, but it also gives you the ability to add private notes. That means you want to add some private notes that only you want to see and not have it stored in CRM, right? This is something, hey, do this before lunchtime today, or make sure I get this out of my way. So it could be anything, any quick note that you want to add, but it's just for you. There is an ability to add private notes within a Viva Sales record over here, which is not going to be displayed in CRM, but it's your own. This part is stored within Office 365 and not within CRM. So this is part of your contact profile or your Outlook profile, which is nothing but there is a different database, a Dataverse edition that's there within Office 365, which is going to store all these private notes. Okay, so let's look at that now. So you have the meeting set up, you save that meeting into Salesforce, right? And then the actual meeting happens. Then we're going to look at some of the insights that are generated by the AI, right? So Teams has the ability to transcribe today. So you're able to go in and go into the transcription here. Let me pause here for a second. So the transcription is part of Teams. We are able to get insights from the transcription, right? It kind of highlights, at this point, it picks up certain topics that may be of interest. Customer contacted us because they want to know something. And this is the time spot. I will say, and some follow-up tasks, it's able to understand the contextual analysis of that text. I'll send you an email. I will check with Ina and get back to you. I will copy Ellie on it, and these are the time slot. And it kind of gives you the transcription, and it's also available for, if you have this enabled, you can actually listen to this conversation and do what's required. And this is also going to go into CRM. Again, this is a broader capability, not just Viva Sales. It's also there as part of customer service and voice as well. All right, so let's move on. And the next thing I want to talk about is, this is again something that's coming up pretty soon, is it's now able to identify names that are actually called out during conversations like Molly and Karen, and it shows that these are mentions that are happening in that conversation, and make sure that it's highlighted so that we know and we become more productive when we go and decide to do the next step. All right, I'll pause there. Any questions? Let's see if there's.
The one that's always comes up on any Viva call is the D365 app versus the Viva app and the parity and when's it going away and one's free and one's not. I know we are talking about it from a roadmap perspective, right? On merging and providing better functionality, the ability to add custom fields, all those kind of things. Do you have any idea of a time frame or when you think we'll start to see some of that?
Yeah, so right now there are two ways to answer this. One is right now this out of the box capability is only available for account and opportunity entity. We will be able to edit the record within Outlook, right? So if it is a record that you own, so we'll be able to edit it and add it and make all necessary changes. We can see all of the relevant related information. Perfect, that's great. Is it similar to D365 app for Outlook? Absolutely, yes. But what happens is later on, we will be able to, and it's happening this year. I would think in the next 3 months, we will be announcing that we will be able to add custom entities as into Viva Sales. The only thing is, so what that means is customization is possible. Extensibility is also possible. So that is going to happen. I think in the spring release, we're going to have some announcements on that. Is it priced? So if you sell Sales Enterprise today, it's free of charge. It's doesn't have a separate price. It's part of the Sales Enterprise license, similar to the Outlook app. But then things like the meeting insights, the AI, and all of that is not available with the D365 app for Outlook. This is where, and it's not going to be made available anymore, the app for Outlook. We're just going to focus on Viva Sales. Hope that answers your question.
And remember, he said that. I didn't say that.
Okay. No problem.
I don't want to get in trouble. I'm under NDA, so.
Yeah.
Ronnie, I don't think it's an official that they've said they're going to sunset the Outlook.
They didn't say that, but I'm saying it will eventually. I'm not saying that they made an announcement on this particular date and on this date it is going to happen, but very soon.
Well, first time I heard that was 2015. So what year is it now?
Well, it's 6 years. All right.
And I think Michael's point about the free version, Mike, and that scenario is also part of that conversation, right?
Will one of the be or Outlook be integration with other apps? So remember, you got to think about this in a little more broader, right? So the app is now not just Dynamics, right? It's going to be with Salesforce. It's already there with Salesforce today. Great. Tomorrow we plan to do this with many other applications. We also plan to do this not just with sales, but also with customer service, with some of our other D365 apps. Eventually, that's what the roadmap is going to look like. So what does productivity look like for a marketer? I don't know. But at some point, I know the framework of building that tool will be based on Viva, right? And so today, who was it that mentioned it's part of the larger Viva suite?
Chris. Yeah.
Yeah, Chris, there you go. Yeah, so it started out with that last year with Office 365 and Viva, right? And eventually what happened was we realized that productivity for an employee is different based on a role. And that's what the evolution of Viva Sales was. Okay, let's take an employee profile who's a seller. What does Viva Sales look like? Right? What does productivity look like for a seller? Tomorrow it might be a customer service professional or a digital marketer. What does productivity look like? I believe that this is where the platform they're going to build all of this is, and yeah, we'll see where it goes. I don't have exact 5 years from now where we're going to be, but I'll tell you there's going to be a lot more enhancements on the product. Right. Samuel says this app for Outlook is integral for email to case creation for other departments. Correct. Absolutely. So there are two parts to this, right? So the licensing was always a challenge, right? Creating a case was, do you have a customer service license to actually create a case? So over the years, we've seen innovative ways of a lot of customers bypassing that, right? Create a case, make it anonymous, and then get a licensed user to do it. So today, remember, you can now be able to create cases and well, cases not now because it's now Viva Sales, but we will be able to create it in a tool of your choice. That's the vision that we're going with this. I hope the functionality will be included if Viva is set to replace. Viva is not going to replace DC. You would still need to have D365 as a CRM. It's just the front end of where that case is going to be created can be in any of our Office tools. Okay, so should we move on? Okay, how are we doing on time? Okay, yeah. So if you have, this is all the Viva, pricing. But if it's Viva Sales and it's $40 per user per month US, okay. But if you have D365 Sales Enterprise, it's already included as part of your license, and part of your Sales Premium license, it's already included. If you want we're selling into any Salesforce customer, they would still need to purchase it at $40 per user per month. All right. Okay, so so where are we seeing this? High-tech manufacturing, financial services, wherever there's a Salesforce and Dynamics, typical B2B, when there is a lot of engagement required from a selling sales perspective. What are the challenges that we address? Bring customer data from CRM inside modern work applications, track customer engagement from within CRM, and then the AI insights. Now, mind you, there's a lot more AI enhancements that's going to come in. Right now, it's only things like the conversation intelligence or contextual analysis of a conversation, or the digital or the signature identification. We are creating so many more capabilities in AI, so we'll have to see what new AI capabilities come in. All right. So with that, I'd like to get into the demo.
Oh, you're going to take the whole window here, Rick.
What's that? Sorry.
Rick, do we only have to 2:15?
No, that's just Ronnie's portion. You guys got the last 45.
You're on at 2:15, Chris.
You got it. No problem. Thank you.
Chris, you can go to like maybe 2:30 in the morning if you want.
oh boy. Well, I'm certainly not shy.
Okay. So sorry, Ronnie. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, for sure. This is still 3 o'clock, right? If I'm not, isn't it? Or wasn't it till 3 p.m. this session?
Yeah, no, you're good. You're totally good.
Yeah. No, I'm only kidding. So I'm not going to let Chris go past midnight.
Okay. For sure. Okay. Let me see. Where is my? There you go. All right. So, can you see my CRM? This is a very familiar screen with everybody, right? So let me just pop in a new window here. This is my Outlook, and so the way it works is, let's say I get an email here that says, okay, something I've got it, and I said, you'll see the icon. I've added the Viva Sales icon in the Outlook. So I go in here, and then it says, what do you want to log into? It gives you two options: sign into Dynamics. Go in here. Start with Dynamics. It asks you, which is your environment. I just got one here right now. Just logged in over here. Okay, so as soon as this is done, it looks at this email and says, okay, I see that I've identified Rony as a contact in Dynamics. Okay, great. Here's the private notes that I've added. This needs to be completed by Friday. Get MSSLT engaged. These are some of the emails, recent activity that I've had with this person. All that information shows up over here. This is my information. This private notes does not exist in CRM. It's mine. When I go into the Dynamics, now it tells me, okay, this is what's sitting in CRM. This is who I am. These are the opportunities. This is the account. All that information's in there, right? So, right, let me do one thing. So any relevant information regarding, now this is how I go in and save that information as an activity into CRM. You can go and do that, everything from within Outlook itself. But before I do that, let me just open up this contact and go in Dynamics. I go in and let's just say I copy this, copy link. Now, this is the link that I was telling you about, and I go into Teams. So let's say I'm talking to Adele about this, and I just go in and paste the link over here. As you can see, it's already pulled up a CRM record or a card, right? It says 30 new machines. This is the $1.2 million. This is the account name. This is what it is. I'm having this conversation with Adele within Teams. I can view the details over here. So now this is an interesting thing is because I can open the record from within Teams while I'm actually sharing my screen with Adele and see the CRM record here itself, right? So visibility wise, you don't, and Adele does not need a license to view the record when she's in a conversation with me on Teams. So I can share my screen, she can look at it and do whatever it takes. So I'm opening the record from within Teams itself. If I want to open it in Dynamics, I can do that as well from here. Again, I click this as a send. She has the context of the information. Everything's there ready up and now. The same thing, if I were to bring this down, and let's just say I go in and I sign out of here. I say I get into Salesforce. Again, when I get into Salesforce, I just sign in. Okay, this is pop-ups. Hang on a sec. Okay, what it's asking me now is to sign in into Salesforce because, so I go in and log in here. Allow the extensions. This is the first time. After that, it should be good. And again, it says it identifies me as a contact here. Now all the activities, private notes, what's there in Salesforce is all over here. And this is how that record looks up in Salesforce. The opportunity, 13 machine installation, everything's there from within Salesforce. We can see it from within Outlook. Now, a couple of things from an architecture perspective. All of the data that you see here sits in Dataverse in terms of Dynamics and in Salesforce. Nothing is taken out of Salesforce or it's in the actual Dataverse itself. The only part that's not within Dataverse is this private notes. And this private notes is there's a notes entity within a separate Dataverse that gets created within Office 365, and that's where it's stored, right? Nothing's taken out of Salesforce. And the Dataverse that's there for Dynamics is the same one that is being used. And that's all what I had for today. Now I'm going to go back into questions.
Chris did a great job keeping up with a lot of the questions that were posted. I think they've all been answered with exception to the last one there about some permissions issues somebody had.
Yeah, I tried to act.
Been answered.
Yeah, your admin will need to allow that app to run in your enterprise. When they install it, it'll actually ask you to grant enterprise permissions. That person can do that, and then it'll be available as the same way you have like the phishing plugin or the meeting polls, all those things, even the Dynamics 365 add-on. It's not designed for individual users to be able to add it at will. It still has to go through permissions.
Yeah.
Super great view into it. I've only seen a couple of videos here and there and heard about it in conversation, but that's the first time I've really seen it in depth. So it's that's powerful, especially with a lot of that roadmap stuff that's sounds like it's coming in the near future. There's a whole world of productivity savings here, which is awesome.
Yeah, the ability to pick and choose which entities you want to see the data from which entities, it makes it very powerful, right? So,
Okay, Ronnie, thank you very much for your presentation. We always appreciate it when you come out to the user group and help us out. So lots of clapping going on there for you. So thank you. I'm sure everybody's happy for that presentation. Why don't we take, I got 2:04. Why don't we come back at 2:10? And we're going to look at some really interesting things Chris Cognetta and JC Quintana from CongruentX have built on top of Viva Sales. So I'm excited to see it. So let's take a quick 5-minute break and we'll come back and start at 2:10 Eastern. Sorry for the time zone. Okay, thanks. Bye.
With Premium, get right to what you love and skip the rest. That means only playing what you want to hear with unlimited skips and listening to music ad-free on any device. Upgrade to Premium and listen your way. Tap the banner to learn more.
Now you know my secret. I don't pay for Spotify Premium.
Okay, we just had a Spotify commercial. I guess they're our sponsor for this week.
Perfect time.
All right, thanks everybody. Let's turn it over to Chris and JC, and they're going to take us on a ride around Viva Sales. I'll let you guys introduce yourselves and try to keep it under at least 5 minutes each, okay?
You got it.
All right.
So we don't have an intro slide or anything like that. So I'll just do an introduction and then provide it over to JC as well. So, hey, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Chris Cognetta. I am the CTIO and founder of CongruentX. I've been working in the dynamic space for over 25 years. I've been doing from 1.0 command line all the way up. At CongruentX, we support the entire Microsoft stack except ERP, but we are focused on CRM adoption. And we see this as a prime way with Dialogue Prime to be able to increase your adoption and sales enablement. So I'm going to let JC do his intro and we'll get started and have some fun.
Hey everybody, I'm JC Quintana. I'm all the way down in Atlanta, Georgia, a little bit north of Chris. I had something called Value Acceleration at CongruentX, and that basically means that we try to go to our clients, leverage design thinking, human-centered design, to understand what value they're trying to get out of CRM from a business or operational perspective, and then we give that to them. And so, pleasure to be here. Hopefully people will get on camera so we can see your beautiful faces.
Okay, thanks, JC. So you guys just saw a beautiful story about Microsoft Viva for Sales. And you saw the elements of Teams, the elements of Outlook, how it can connect with Dynamics 365, and you saw the experiences inside those apps. At CongruentX, we realized that people are using multiple apps across the workspace. I think there was a statistic and Rory's information there said like 56 apps a day, all of that. The challenge with this is that the data, the things that you need about your system, the things that help you drive productivity, help you see activity of your clients. You know, a lot of us have these challenges and we can't grasp it. And while Viva starts to lay the framework for that, you really need another piece to bring it together. And we've been able to do that with Dialogue Prime for CongruentX. And it's not only about seller enablement, it's also about relationships. And my good friend here, JC, has written a book on relationships that's available in the Amazon bookstore. And he's going to talk to you about the relationship model that we have inside of Dialogue Prime. as well as the ability to build custom models based on your business, based on your industry. And that's just the start of where we're headed. So I'm going to give JC the floor for a minute, talk a little bit about the book and the relationships and why is it so important to what we're doing with Viva for Sales.
Excellent. So, from your line of sight, I'm sure that throughout the years, you've run into situations where technology like CRM has to serve the purpose of an organization or a methodology. And back in the days, we remember Miller Heiman, where a lot of CRM systems were integrating the methodology of Miller Heiman into the way CRM worked, because CRM was designed to induce a very specific behavior. And so now, fast forward to technology today, running into technology like Viva Sales and the AI component in Viva Sales, we've really encountered a really great opportunity to use some of those theoretical frameworks and incorporate them into the application. So if you think purely conversation, there are a lot of elements in Viva Sales that AI enables and captures and collects that kind of tell you about the sentiment within the relationship, the tone, the length, the depth of how people are talking. But when you make that transition from conversation to dialogue, and from dialogue to the strength of the relationship, then things kind of fall apart, because technology, at least AI for now, can't tell you the strength of a relationship. It can't tell you whether a relationship is heading towards deterioration. It can't tell you whether or not a relationship is meeting the expectations that you set with a specific client based on who they are, B2B, B2C type, relationship type, transactional type, long-term relationship, and things like that. And so not too long ago, and believe it or not, if I'm talking theoretical and have the nice little sticky stuff with psychology stuff in the back, don't be fooled. I'm a CRM guy, all the way back to SalesLogix, version 3.0 of Dynamics, even until recently. But as you may have done as well, I've run into visits with clients where they say, this is great. I love the features in this customer relationship management tool. Now tell me how to manage relationships with it. And that kind of falls apart. There's a theory and there's a methodology, and like I said, a theoretical framework that needs to be embedded into software. So what we've done is we've taken a couple of foundational theories, one of them being social exchange theory, which is how people balance relationships, how they do negotiation, how they do relationship expectation management, and another theoretical framework called the Serious Relationship Theoretical Framework, and we've integrated it into Viva Sales, meaning that the functionality in Viva Sales takes you as far as giving you some general information about the context and the syntax, and I would even say maybe a little bit of the sentiment of the relationship. But anytime that there's any kind of divergence in the dialogue that starts to tell you expectations behind things like value expectation, value measurement, level of engagement expectations, as things that are centered to the individual based on diversity, equity, and culture, things that have to do with expectations of accountability, of learning, of knowledge, of transparency, and even more so, some of the things that we're measuring today, like customer experience, which are based on things like what people expect in terms of how easy, enjoyable, how functional and effective things are within the context of a relationship. So from my perspective, as a researcher, yes, I don't want to do CRM, no matter how easy it is to do it, unless you're also telling me within the context of the dialogue in the conversations that happen across CRM, whether or not that relationship is healthy or not healthy, whether or not certain words are applicable to whether you're going to leave me or whether you're going to stay with me as a long-term customer for a long time. And I'm glad to answer questions about the book and things like that, but I'm eager to have Chris kind of jump in and tell you how we're accomplishing that.
Thanks, JC. And I also put the link in the window for you guys if you want to see the book and read about the elements and what JC's talking about. But let's step into Dialogue Prime and really show you guys the magic. So when you first log into Dialog Prime in your Dynamics, you'll notice you're presented with a dashboard. This is a Power App Canvas app that's running inside of your Dynamics, and it has some pretty pertinent information. The first thing I want you to think about is the person of a salesperson, whichever role they have. They are making phone calls, they're jumping in and out of screens, but they always want to be able to see, what did I do today? What do I need to complete? What are my outcomes? What are my impacts? So bringing that to a primary place for them to see is the reason why we embedded Dialog Prime inside of Microsoft Dynamics as well as Salesforce. Bringing that information that you have seen inside of Teams, inside of Outlook, and inside of the Viva suite to CRM really lights up what we can do with relationships. And I'm going to walk you through some of those things so you guys can see the value of using not only the tech from Viva for Sales, but other things like cognitive AI. And there was a conversation earlier about open AI and bringing those to bear inside your team. So the first thing you'll see up the top is some graphics on selling outcome, offering, and impact. And this is by month, so you can actually see your scores and improve upon your scores. Part of the Dialog Prime solution is to help mentor your sales team, your delivery team, your customer service team, or any other team that you would like to create a special offering for on how they're doing and how they can get better, with the goal of using the relationship score, which is indicated down here in the middle, to see where they can improve and how to use the book to improve that relationship with your customer, which then in turns to be a better customer experience and more sales for your company, right? So that's what.
Chris, can I ask you a question about the dashboards, Rick? So if I'm a sales rep, I'm looking at this dashboard, and 76% tells me if I'm reaching my selling outcomes compared to the rest of the team.
So we'll talk. Let me take you through that, Rick. Okay. So the first thing is you are ranked by your team. So there's 29 people on my team. I am ranked number 9. The ranking is made up of your phone conversations with customers that you may not have sold anything to, offerings, which are around deals that are actively happening for opportunities that you have active in the pipeline. And then the combination of those scores gives you your overall impact score. So I may be doing a lot of prospecting, but if I haven't sold, my impact score is going to drop. Vice versa, I may not be doing any prospecting, but I closed a whole bunch of deals. I still will not be able to achieve a high number on the impact score. Does that make sense? So these numbers are automatically calculated for you in the background. You will also see Office 365 integration showing you your next call. So if you're looking at your calls and you need to know, I need to hop on a call, this is going to tell you, you can click and get to that call. You have the ability to see my calls. And if you are an admin, you also have the ability to see all calls. You can search for calls by a subject. You can look at them regarding the individual account, and you have a time range capability. Below, you can see the source, and this happens to be a Teams meeting call, but you also may use Team Dialer or another functionality like Gong to make phone calls. We can even integrate with third-party dialers to bring your calls right into CRM. You'll notice the call record here and the scoring capabilities. If you click into the call record, you're presented with a summary. This is the same summary that you saw that was over in Viva for Sales, but it was over in Teams. I can see it here now, but I can do a bunch of other things with it that I can't do with it being in Teams. One is I can see sentiment analysis of each one of my calls and records. I can also see who the people are that attended my call and who the organizer is, as well as people who haven't attended or joined the call. I can easily click to call that person. I can even send a follow-up email for them. And it gets better. I can even search the transaction to find information that may have been spoken about that I would like to know, like competitors or license details, simply by typing in the search window. Being that this is built in CRM, it was very important for us to add in the details to see a recap. So I'm going to switch in between systems just to show you. But if you look here, again, I'm inside a call and I can see a recap. What are recaps? While you're having that conversation with someone, you may say, hey, I would like for you to send me a document on X, or I'll remind myself to send it. our call engine in Dialog Prime is smart enough to pick up that item, determine if it's an action item, and then list it out as an open activity inside of Dynamics. This allows you to quickly see what you need to do to follow up with a client after the call. You can also delete the action item, complete it, or send an email on their behalf. The emails and templates and automation of that process can be even further customized with the use of Power Platform and Power Automate to create all kinds of templates. So if you're talking on a sales call or a customer service, or you want to send a survey, you can have all of those available based on roles and profiles within your Dynamics system. Also, we have the capability to download your information, and shortly we'll have the ability to click and get the Chat GPT response from OpenAI that will analyze the call transcript and give you pertinent information like what are the summary of this conversation? What was the summary? What is the customer's pain points? And what is my probability of close? Will all be things coming in the next release of Dialog Prime. I also mentioned the ability of mentions, and mentions has been extended to provide many different details about what's happening in this call. So if you think about a call, this is all the summary information of that call of what's going on, whether you talked about a product, specific people, dates, times, budgeting, quantity and numbers, persons, locations, events, skills. It goes on and on and on, and it's all customizable to be able to build your own framework and your own information from your own industry. Now that you have seen some of the information about Dialog Prime, the other thing to see is how Dialog Prime integrates with your existing count records. If you'll notice, I made the phone call that we were just showing is actually an activity inside of CRM. I can see that activity. I can open it, see all the details of the call, including the sentiment of the call, the positive, negative nature. I also have the ability to pull the call summary right up inside from the record, just like I showed you earlier. It will give you that detail as well. So the calls are now related to the actual records inside of your CRM. With Viva for Sales, this is not happening. They're sitting out in teams. They're sitting out. They have not connected it together. So with the use of Power Platform, we've been able to do that. So now your calls are related. So now I can go into my CRM, run a sample chart of all activities by phone calls, and now I can see all the phone calls my team is making, their productivity. I can sort by them, again, using the out-of-the-box tools with the data that has been inserted from Dialog Prime and the ability to now have complete visualization of each team member, who they're calling, how many calls they've made, what their calls were about, even the drill downs, just like you would have from Dynamics. But now you can see their activities. Remember, person didn't do anything but make a Teams call. All the data was automatically put in there, linked to their accounts, provided action items, activities, phone call information, and populated CRM on their behalf. This is our vision of doing CRM without doing CRM. This allows you as a salesperson to focus on what you're trying to do, which is the deal, and not on working in CRM. This also gives the company the ability to see what's happening, and it really solves the problem for both customers, both sides of the fence that we've been trying to deal with for a long time. When it comes to adoption, you see the whole thing comes together. Another thing inside of Dialog Prime is not only the account information, but also the JC's relationship model. So as I move over to the relationship model, I am now presented with my Dialog Prime score. You'll notice the Dialog Prime model here that JC was talking about and the 7 elements inside his book. Each one of those elements is automatically rated for you and where you are inside that scenario. So if you look at in definition is define and align our value to the right customer. I'm at a 51% score based on calls that I've made. So what's happening here is Dialog Prime is taking your call, and then it's looking through that call and saying, did I mention these words? So if I'm in sales, did I talk about budget? Did I talk about timelines? Did I define the scope of the engagement? Do I know who the players are? If you're not using those words and that terminology, again, that can be independently branded for your business. So think about a healthcare agency where maybe a case is a medical case, but a lawyer is a different meaning. We have the ability to change those meanings inside the framework, both on industry as well as customization. So by seeing this, I'm going to be able to get tips on mentoring this person on how to achieve a better score here. What else could they do based on what we've talked about? In the future, Dialogue Prime will take this information and it will actually predict your ability to close that deal just from the phone calls. And how we're doing that is around the first call frameworks and the proposal call frameworks when it comes to sales. The first call framework is around your first call. It'll be evaluated in a different framework. Things that you ask on the first call, like I mentioned, budget, timeline, those kind of things. Also, things that you are saying on the proposal call. How do you present your proposal? How did the details come across? Again, all customizable by you so you can see that. The industry would light up if we had a specific industry solution for you. We don't have one right here to show, but that takes us into brands. So brands give us the capability of adding in custom keywords that we want to track and understand the value. So you can see quickly, if I look at competitors, for example, I can see some names in here and how many times those competitors' names were mentioned. I also can look at things like my sales lingo. I want to know my brands. I want to know my sales team is selling that Toyota model or that offering to our clients and our customers. Now you can simply go in, add or edit the brand, enter in your information, hit save. Next call that comes in, it'll automatically start recording the information, and you can now leverage and see who's doing this, who's using the information, who's talking about it. Things like economic pulse. Are you worried about your customers saying they're having problems with the market, their economy's not there? All of these type of issues, if it's mentioned on your sales team in your calls, you will see it show up and the ability to go back and look at it. So this is how we're changing the game with Dialogue Prime and how we're using these words, the content sentiment, as well as the relationship scores from JC and his book to help enable your sales team and your organization to have true visibility into your CRM. And remember, it's all built on top of the technologies that you have today. So Viva being the underlying platform with Power Platform, Azure Cloud Services, Cognitive AI, and a few other things that we sprinkle in there to help build these frameworks and tune and leverage them to help your team grow, whether it's sales, delivery, customer service, or even support. You can build frameworks just for those calls. JC, you want to talk a little bit more about the 7 elements and how they affect your relationship with the customer?
Yeah, you do such an amazing job. I would only add that, you know, whether it be internally, if you are someone who's managing, you know, the Microsoft ecosystem for your company, or you are an external partner and you're managing this for external clients, there's got to be at some point where technology like CRM connects with value, right? That's important. And so it is things like this that are connecting to the business and that are connecting to value. What we hope to do with, you know, tools like Dialogue Prime is to kind of meet the customer where they are, and that's huge. Specific to the relationship stuff, everything is relationships. You know, we may not see it as such with relationships that are more transactional, where you go to Amazon and you buy a hammer, and yet when you see trends of the kind of people that buy a hammer on Amazon, the abandonment rate on carts, the expectations of service that company has set, then you go back and realize, yes, things really are relational in nature, all the way from the beginning of the relationship, where Chris said, where you're defining the relationship, where you're taking into account specifics to the individual. We're expanding it not just to the individual, but we're expanding it to specific to the type of business, specific to the industry, specific to the brand, specific to the way that they do sales and the type of sales force that it is. So yes, I'm super excited about this. And, you know, even though I've seen this, I want you to keep going, Chris.
right? I want to keep talking. We've got some things that we're working on right now in regards to, so you notice that I talked about different call types. Well, how do you know what kind of call a person's making? Is it a sales call? Is it the first time they're calling the person? Is it a call that they're calling about the prospect? Is it a support call? Is it a delivery call? Now, our delivery team has been using Dialogue Prime now for 2 months, and just the ability to hear and see the conversations of the sales team and the transition to the delivery team has been seamless. So now the delivery team can actually hear the phone call, get their summary of what was said, everything that's been promised on the phone call, and when they attend the first kickoff call, they are so in tune with the customer because they've already heard the customer. They already know the customer pain points. They already know the details. Think about how that could give your team a leverage point, whatever industry you're using, by being able to take that and they'll use those conversations in your business. That is really what we're doing here with Dialogue Prime, and being able to showcase and start with the building on top of Viva, the ability to see the calls, detail the calls, and then to customize these frameworks, whether it's based on industries, whether it's based on your own business. You may have your own selling framework that you would like to add. Just amazing. We're also talking about when the Viva for Sales plugin is customizable, we will have the ability to have a Dialogue Prime action inside of there that will allow you to select which call framework you wanted to use. So if you think about that, I'm a salesperson, I'm setting up a call. I know it's going to be my first time talking to this customer. I may or may not know. So from a program standpoint, a programmability standpoint, we don't have the ability to see that. So what we can do is we can add that call, we can add that capability into your actual calendar invite, where you have Viva for Sales here. You may have the ability to click in and select the framework I want to use for this call. It's a delivery call. It's a sales call. We may even be able to add that based on calls that you define what relationship and what model you want to be on there. So out of the box, it comes with the relationship model that JC has talked about, and that automatically starts scoring your calls. It comes with the dashboards, all the integration with CRM, bringing that vision together, right? That one app, that one place where I can see everything I need to do. There's some other cool things coming, like a leaderboard. You'll be able to hover over here and see who are your top leaders. So make it a little gamification style that we used to use back in the day, but at least add some fun and value to people learning and training. And then as Viva grows, there's more things Viva is going to be doing, like real-time sentiment analysis on phone calls. So imagine you're on the phone call real time, and I can tell that when you're on the phone call, you didn't say, it's been talking for 45 minutes, but you haven't asked about the budget, or do they have is this something that's in their timeline or anything like that. I can alert you right on the Teams window in the middle of that phone call and help mentor you real time. That's where these technologies are headed. That's how you get that Amazon Alexa experience in today's business. And we sit back and look at, why can't we use these tools that we already have around us? We're using Teams, we're using Viva, we're using Outlook, but we're bringing that all together. And I think our friend was talking about the 360-degree view. You will not get a better 360-degree view that's customizable, containable, has custom IP, and allows you to really take control of your business while doing CRM for your sales team who doesn't want to do it. It lights up all your charts, all your opportunities, all of those things start to come alive with the data that we've always wanted to get there, but we couldn't get it there. This makes it possible.
Ricky, you have a question?
Yeah, so, my question is, I love the concept of these tools, and we've been looking at these sentiment tools for quite a while. And, Viva Sales kind of takes it to the next level, and you guys kind of, put this layer on top that's even better. So I've been coaching sales organizations for a long time. Where's our starting point, right? How do we understand what is working so we can put it into Viva Sales to score it?
So there's multiple ways that we do that. The first one is we set it up in regards to starting to record what you're doing, right? getting it in place, starting to look at some of the sentiment scores, what's coming back. And then one of the things that's unique to CongruentX is that JC leads our design thinking sessions. And what we do is we do a design thinking sessions, not only with your users, but also with your upper management on the pain points of your business. What are the areas that you're trying to tweak and tune? And then we work to take the relationship model and tweak that so it effectively is in place for your business. Some of the other ways that you're able to do this without consulting is you're able to actually come in and create brands. So we were actually talking about the closer framework the other day. The closer framework is exactly what it sounds like. I'm on a call. I'm trying to close the deal after providing a proposal, right? There's certain words that I'm going to use. Well, we had a belief that nobody was using these words. Everybody wanted to jump to the demo, right? Well, you can see right here on 1, 2, 3, and 5, 4, there's very limited activity, but everybody wants to jump to the approach and to talk about who we are and all of that, but they forget about all the other things, right? So that's allowing us to see that, change the structure, change the keywords, and continue to monitor and evolve, and then provide that feedback. The other piece that's coming, Rick, is the ability that when you're not achieving this number as a sales team, you're not hitting that percentage that we were showing you guys here, inside of the speed, whether you're talking too fast or your sentiment is not right, all of those things, that's going to start mentoring your team members to help grow, right? And those are the pieces that are continually being tweaked by the AI, as well as by what your admins are doing inside of the brands and the conversations with JC. So that's how it continues to evolve. But it starts off with, if you look at this slide, and I didn't want to go salesy on you, but I'll just show you a quick look at it. But if you look at it from a sales perspective, Viva, implementing Viva, setting it all up, doing the training with your team, showing them how it works. We do that as the core level. And then we implement Dialogue Prime with the Dialogue Prime Relationship Edition on top of that. Then you can choose whether you want to do sales, or maybe you want it all, or maybe you want to build a custom one. The point is that this is a service. As we evaluate and look at each call, there's call rendering going on, there's AI being called, there's cognitive services being used, so there's compute power. So that subscription capability is paying for that compute power. So it requires that type of monthly subscription to use it. Just so you know, other competitors of this solution like Gong and Seismic are $140 a month to deliver the functionality that we're showing you here.
So so the second part of the question becomes, as I use this over time, I'm going to want to be able to adjust things, because I'm going to be seeing a lot of things I couldn't see before.
Right.
So can I tell Dialogue Prime or Viva Sales to say, okay, here are my 6 top performers, let's analyze what they're doing?
Yeah, and you'll see some of that in the reporting that's going to be provided. We have a Power BI report session that sits on top of this that provides all kinds of things like who's my number 1 salesperson, right? Who's making the number 1 calls as prospectors? Why are who has the highest relationship score in prospecting? Who's the lowest? Who do you need to talk to? So that visibility is what helps you drive those conversations and the ability to tweak and modify the framework to get there. And as I showed you earlier, if I was, for example, I had a discovery question, it wasn't in here, I could edit the brand, I could go down, I can add one in or remove it. And next time Dialogue Prime runs through its batch, it'll not only re-rate your new calls, it'll actually go back and look at your old calls to see if you've ever used that over time.
So we're analyzing what our sales team is saying to the customer. Mm-hmm. Are we analyzing what the customer is saying to our sales team?
Absolutely.
That's become very important once this is offered in customer service.
So Rick's trying to get ahead of Dialogue Prime, but so we do have internal and external, and really, if you look at, and I'll just open up one of the call summaries real quick, you will see that we have both the client on here as well as internal people. So I can analyze, and I am seeing that she's happy or sad or that as well. but I also can run external frameworks on them as well, right? So the content that I'm bringing in, I can look at them to see, well, did they mention a future? Did he use the word future phase? Did he talk about, so I can actually look at different elements for a salesperson to mentoring, as well as to help me understand the customer. And a lot of that is going to come from the open AI side as well, where we can pass in that information and get things from conversations that you can't see today.
Beautiful. Ronnie's got a question, I think.
Hey, Ronnie.
This is phenomenal. Really good stuff. A couple things I had. One was the brand. I'm not sure I quite fully understand. Are you considering brands as topics of conversation, or is that what it is?
So it's a good question. From your perspective, brands are keywords.
Keywords.
Right?
Okay, gotcha.
The reason why we use brands is because it associates more to a customer in the fact that what is their brand, right? Their brand is, I sell this device, this product, this name. So think about Amazon, all of their brands, right? All of those tools, Microsoft's brands, right? That's the focus. But really, it's the ability to take those keywords, right? And then group them together and then analyze them to say who's using them, who's not using them. So like when COVID was a hot topic, I can tell you in our reports, when we look back from last year, you could see that topic was high, because on every other call you were hearing, yeah, my brother-in-law had COVID, my sister had COVID, right? So you were actually seeing that and seeing the impact to the length of the relationship as well. So this is where, as we collect more and more of this data in the system and we start to push this into the AI models, that's where the prediction elements are going to come from.
And this could be something brand new that you've never heard of before. It's going to pop up here and say later on, that is something that you could use as training for your salespeople as well.
Exactly. I mean, and it's not only that, like, don't you want to know if someone mentioned a competitor on your phone call? You can know, right?
Yeah,
second part of my question.
I was going to just add real quick that words have different meaning depending on their context. And so you think about a word like provider, right? You say provider. Well, provider in the context of being a parent means one thing. In the context of being a consultant, it means one thing. In the context of being a service provider, it means something else. But in the context of healthcare, it means completely different thing.
That's right.
In the context of brand, there are brands that use the idea of providing, delivering in a different context. So all those things really need to have a different score and a different action that follows it, depending on whether it is related to the relationship, the seller framework, the industry, or the brand.
Yeah, that's perfect. Second part of my question was, you're capturing all this information. Have you thought about things like privacy or GDPR compliance? What is our response to that?
Good question. So the response is that we're not capturing your data. Your data lives in your CRM. The only thing we're doing is rating through the transcripts that you already have, right? So that data and its analysis is what's going to sit inside your system. But to be fully transparent, the non-PII data of that conversation. So knowing that your industry has 50 phone calls per person per day, that type of elements, we will know. So now I'll be able to pass that back to you to say, and others in your space are averaging 40 phone calls a day. You're only averaging 10. Why?
That's right. Okay. Got it. So that means we know what we are, and yes, from the application level, if it's Dynamics, that's where the first level of compliance comes in. That's perfect. But you know what you're capturing, so that at some point, we want to say, what if somebody were to ask, what are the data points that we are capturing? We can articulate that.
Absolutely, right? It's going to be. We're building that into the product doc of what's there, what we collect, right? It's also an opt-in service, so if you don't want to, you don't have to be a part, right? Absolutely. Do you see, Rory, how we tell the whole story now? Do you like that?
Love it.
So I got another question here from Diane. So let's talk about phone calls, right? Right now, the possibility of making phone calls from Teams, right? Meetings, etc. That's all built in. You also can enable the Teams dialer to make PSTN calls that are also built in, And as long as you're talking in that technology, and those phone calls are also a part of this stack. There are others that are using their cell phones and they're making phone calls from landlines. And there is the capability of adding bots to phone calls. So if you're on, so here's the requirement though. You're not direct calling the customer. What you are doing is you are scheduling a meeting and joining that meeting via that landline, then your phone call will be recorded. There are other technologies, like you heard me mention Gong. Gong actually has a mobile app that is built into their CRM system, their offering, that can then take any phone call, regardless whether it's Teams or not, and put it into CRM. And that's something that we want to work towards in the future as well. But we do see the need for those type of phone calls.
Right. And so what I'm hearing is, as long as our staff are using Teams and the calls coming through Teams, either inbound or outbound, we're good.
Right.
No matter what our customers are using.
And no matter how you joined, whether the web, the phone, your cell phone, as long as you had that. See, it's really crazy, but when you look at this meeting, right, we're all on Teams. I could be analyzing this whole meeting and come and tell you what the summary of this meeting was as well. Okay. As a matter of fact, after this phone call, I will do that and I will send you what it said. Okay.
My speaker coach will tell me that too.
There you go. Very similar, right? Very similar stuff. And as the speaker coach comes on and does that, think about us having a mentoring coach just telling you real time. Instead of slowing down and not talking too fast, you didn't say this. You didn't mention you didn't mention that we're having a big sales event this week and you're getting 10% off, right? So it helps mentor and guide people in the framework and solution that you need. We give some boundaries and set some things up, and then we help tweak that with you through the subscription so you can continually evolve and get the value out of it, right? But at the end of the day, we're an outcomes-based company. The outcome has to be more sales revenue, better customer experience. That's what these tools are focused on, sales enablement. And the other things that we've been seeing now, like the delivery calls, right? Being on delivery calls, being able to play that ahead of time. Think about a customer. Let's take a different thing that's not even a IT thing. I call up and I'm looking for service on my TV. I'm talking to a customer service representative. We don't know how they're answering the phone call. They could be in Teams call center for all we know, right? They're answering the phone call. They get all the details. Now we have all that information. I can then take the summary of that detail, explain it back to the tech before the tech even goes on site. So now the customer experience for that tech, it pops up on his field service device and says, customer summary. Customers having problems in bedroom number 3. They're having intermittent on channel 55 and Netflix seems to go in and out. You go up to the door, you say, hey, I see you have blah, 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 blah. And now your customer experience just changed. Why? Because no one wants to repeat themselves. So you showing that is one example of how these technologies really can change how your business is perceived. And, we talk about the 360-degree view. This is cheat code right here. This is some good stuff.
So Chris, what you're really supporting is anything that Viva Sales supports from we'll call it a PBX running through Teams, like, whatever they build out or whatever ISVs build into Teams for making calls, like a Solgary, for example. If it's supported by Viva Sales, then it'll be supported by you guys.
So Viva Sales or Gong are platforms of choice, but we have also integrated with Asterisk, so we can get calls from an Asterisk phone system. We've got 2 other customers in flight right now that are looking at using Cisco and Avaya phone systems. So once we build those connectors to those, we'll have the same call intelligence coming, grabbing it, running it through our engine, and then passing it back into the CRM, just like Viva's doing for Teams. We're able to do it for any source.
Okay, excellent. So you're going to eliminate the Teams out of this then, if you're working with Cisco?
It's not our goal. There is Cisco for Teams. If they don't want, it's really up to the customer. And here's the beauty. We want to use what you have. If you're already using Teams and Outlook, you're set. If you're using Cisco and you want to use that, you can, right? If you want to go and go to the new school and use the Cisco for Teams client, you can. If you don't, we can integrate directly with your dialer.
Okay, guys, we're getting close to the end of the day. So do you have a closing slide or anything?
Actually, my closing slide is really simple. I'd like to hear feedback from you guys as being one of the first audiences to really see Dialogue Prime, understand what it's about, anything that we could tune or tweak that wasn't clear, or exciting possibilities that you're thinking about or just drooling to tell me. Please come off speaker. Let's hear you. Do you see how the entire story comes together now, where your CRM is doing CRM without anybody having to do it? Yes, Malcolm.
Oh, I didn't mean to. I was
No
just
problem.
unmuting, but I was going to say, I think it's fantastic. I put it in the chat earlier. This, that fundamentally activity management, being proactive, understanding what you talk to them about, what's coming up next. It requires so much effort, super valuable, and has massive ROI, but people don't do it. And this stuff that Viva and what you guys have put together here, it takes so much of that manual effort, which organizations across the globe struggle getting people to enter their calls and enter their plans and all that. This takes so much of that out, and using the tools. I mean, that's the key from my perspective. Using the tools that people use every day.
And think about all the things we have in Power Platform that we haven't really talked about yet, right? Yeah. For example, the ability to, so we have all kinds of automations, right? If I know you're on a sales call and we've got several products, you could actually say, and this is one of our features that I didn't demo for you or showed you, but we actually give you the ability to say a keyword. So you can call it anything you want. So I can say, hey, Malcolm, please remind me to send this document to Bob, right? The AI will pick that up, and then it can look at the folder structure for that document and send it automatically on your app. So before you even got off the call, they already got the email with the document that you promised to send, and the action items are already done. So we have that capability too. And a lot more cool stuff like that. Again, the more we keep looking at the platform, the intelligence, the open AI stuff, it gives us, it's continuing to evolve. And because it's web-based, we can update it every 30 days. We can do a new release. We can continue to add these features, and you don't have to change anything inside of your CRM.
Cool. Okay, thank you, Chris. Thank you, JC. Thank you, Ronnie. That was outstanding.
Thank you, everybody.
Presentation on Viva Sales. Our next meeting we have planned is February 9th. We have Scott Sewell from Microsoft, who is, if you haven't seen one of Scott's presentations, he's absolutely outstanding. He's going to come in, and he's the product leader at Microsoft who does the sales dashboards and Power BI reporting for Dynamics. So I've seen plenty of his presentations in the past. It should be an outstanding presentation. If you need to connect with Diane or Malcolm or myself, LinkedIn's probably the easiest place to go. I'm going to put on my profile where to go to join our communities. You'll see it on the front page. That way, if you're not following us on the communities, like if you came in through a LinkedIn invite or one of our old email systems, please try to join the Meetup or communities.dynamics, because in the future we want to be able to communicate with the group. If you have any thoughts, I think Malcolm, you put a link in the chat there, what you'd like to see in the future. Yeah, if you'd like to volunteer and help us out, please just let us know, and we're going to, eventually get this thing rolling and, start hopefully some local chapters in different towns and cities across the country like we did it before. And, will probably be some sort of hybrid presentation in the future where you can get together or jump online. Malcolm or Diane, anything?
Just if you have any ideas, content, whether you want to present or things you'd like us to try and secure or source out there, we try and stay connected to lots of people. So if you have ideas of things that you'd love to see, actually that's where the whole concept for Viva Sales as an agenda item even came from. We talked about it a couple months ago, and somebody said they want to see it, so we went out and tried to find some people. So if you have other topics, please let us know. And if you want to present yourself, even if you've never presented before, and I want to underscore that, if you haven't, still message us. I'm happy to do a co-presentation with you. I'm sure others on the line would love to do the same. If you're trying to break the ice and get into the world of presenting, because it can be a lot of fun, let us know. We'd love to help out however we can.
Hey, Malcolm, while we were on the call, there seemed to be a big need for wanting to upgrade CRM from behind, different versions, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and
topic.
be happy to come back and share and talk about that with everybody, and the roadmaps, the pitfalls, all that kind of stuff. Really, kind of maybe a lunch session, bring your lunch and learn, that type of thing, or talk through whatever you guys need. We're here for you.
Yeah, no, that's a good topic. Migrate or rebuild. I would always go rebuild.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone.
Sounds good.
Thank you for your time today, and we'll see you in a few weeks at our next meeting.
Thank you.
Well,
Thanks,
Thanks,
everybody.
everyone.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you. Take care.
Thanks all.